Welcome to the Genesis of the Doctor podcast, where we're taking a journey to the time and space of the history of Doctor Who. I'm Tris.
And I'm Joy.
And for today's episode, we're watching the final serial of Season 10 with The Green Death. And of course, looking back on Jo Grant, since that is her last episode. So we got a lot to talk about this time. How did you initial impressions? Like initial impressions. How did you feel coming out of The Green Death?
I can't say I really had strong opinions on the story either way. It was fine. I didn't really like it or dislike it though.
Okay. My immediate takeaway after watching it was it feels kind of telling that we had such a I guess I'll say an eco-friendly episode, an episode focused on trying to improve, world pollution and deal with all of that. It felt very telling that we had this back in the 70s, and I feel like some similar problems could still be raised literally today. They could do this episode today and it wouldn't change much, and that's a little sad. That was my immediate takeaway. It's like, wow, they could have done that now and it would have been the same.
Yep. 50 years later, we still haven't solved the issue.
Yeah, that's a topic for a different discussion, though. But, so, I think, I have to say, I was a little surprised at how the whole story here came together. Because the first half and the second half feel pretty different. Well, maybe not halves, but early on in the story, where you have the Doctor very dead set on going to Metebelis 3, you have him and Jo kind of saying goodbye as if they're going separate ways to do different things.
Yeah.
And they made it feel like the Doctor and Jo weren't actually going to interact at all through the story, but they were going to both get involved and deal with it from different ends. That's at least how I felt going into the story from the first few episodes. It felt like they were setting up the two of them were going to work together separately to solve it, meeting somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Definitely felt a bit like that. I did find it so weird, though, at the beginning, how Joe's like, oh, I read this story about Professor Jones, I have to go meet him. And it's like she's never mentioned this guy before. She's never mentioned, being this caring about the environment before. It's just suddenly dead set on it.
I think it works for her character based on everything we know about her from past stories, but I do think the level of passion that she has towards it and the knowledge she has of it does feel like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I thought we would have learned that, she's worked with Cliff before, or that, she had met him before and he inspired her to join UNIT to make a difference or something along those lines.
Yeah.
No, they had never met. She only read about him. And that was kind of it. And that was quite surprising, because that was quite a jump from where we were at with her already.
Yeah. I did think her first costume in the story felt very Fifth Doctor, though.
That's true. It did.
He didn't wear it for long, but I was like, wow, that's like the Fifth Doctor outfit you're wearing right there.
Something you can only figure out with hindsight.
Yeah. And I also found it funny how, the Doctor has wanted to bring Jo to Metebelis 3, this whole season, and then he goes there, and it's just, the worst place to go.
It was quite funny. I'm really glad we actually got, some scenes of him there and how disastrous of a trip it was, and maybe it's best that they didn't go, after all. But it ended up saving everything. A crystal that he salvaged from there.
Yep. A crystal that can break hypnosis.
That crystal also comes back in the Tales of the TARDIS episode for the Three Doctors.
Yeah.
Jo finds it in a little drawer. So I rewatched that after seeing this episode, and I was like, oh, I understand it now. Yeah. I understand who Cliff is that she's talking about. It all makes sense now.
I've heard that Metebelis 3 kind of ties into Planet of the Spiders somehow as well. So I don't know exactly how it does, but I think that crystal comes back next season as well.
Well, not the exact same one, because he gave that one to Jo as a wedding gift.
Yeah.
But yeah, another one like it. The same prop, probably, like behind the scenes. But so, other big question to come out of this: how did we feel about technically two threats, two antagonists? You had the giant maggots, which were more so a byproduct threat, and then the actual antagonist of Boss, an AI that has kind of gone rogue.
I kind of felt like Boss just didn't really need to be in the story. Like you could have just had it be like the CEO of the company. He just
Just
didn't care
Stevens.
about like the maggots. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
like we just included this whole storyline about a computer just like to, I guess, fill out more time. But like it could have just been about the maggots and it would have been fine.
I do think, on one hand, the idea of boss kind of diminishes the initial intent of the story of, commentary on like pollution and like world environmental problems. I do think it diminishes from that initial story by making it, oh well, all these bad decisions to be made by a computer controlling people, not by people with ill intent.
Yeah,
People that are just trying to make money. I do think it's unfortunate that it takes away from that side of the story. But on the other hand, this very much felt like it could have been the great intelligence, if that makes sense. Like
yeah,
the fact that instead of the ambiguous consciousness that was the great intelligence, both in classic and later on modern Who, it was instead an AI that went rogue and very steadily became more and more human in its personality and line delivery. Um, I kind of feel like it crossed a few different ideas that worked enough, but not as well as it could have had they stuck with ideas.
yeah. That's so weird because it's like the two stories are they don't really connect all that much. Like the maggots, you just kind of
Mm-hmm.
kill. They go kill them, and then now we have to go back and deal with boss.
Yeah, that's why I say it's like having two antagonists. One is more of a byproduct of the other,
Yeah,
but
it definitely would have worked a bit better. I feel if it was just about like a chemical CEO not caring about the environment and not
mm-hmm.
oh there's a computer that's brainwashing people.
Yeah, it did feel like two separate stories because the fact that ultimately what was happening with the global chemicals storyline was more so this AI wants to take over the world by hypnotizing and enslaving humanity,
Yeah,
which very much had nothing to do with the chemicals in the mine, the toxic waste causing the maggots.
yeah,
Which, now that I think about it, is also very similar to Arachnids of the UK from Series 11 with
yeah.
Jodie Whittaker.
I guess it is. Guess in the Doctor Universe, toxic waste just makes bugs big. It's a recurring theme.
It really is. It really is. I think I will say that the way they had the maggots was genuinely creepy. I
Yeah,
know a lot of scenes of them are green screened, but I actually think like the little like puppets or whatever they made for them were genuinely really unnerving looking. Like I did not like them
apparently,
in a good way.
some of the crew found like the maggot puppets so unnerving that they avoided them when they could.
Yeah, I could understand why. I could totally understand why.
I did find it funny though that when Boss is trying to brainwash the Doctor, he recites pi to himself, but he does it wrong because he says 3.1416, but it's 3.1415, Doctor. It's not six.
Yeah, he rounded. He rounded because it was 159, so he rounded
Yeah,
that to a 6,
but like he's implying he's
which
going to
is
keep counting them under his breath.
yeah.
So you said it wrong, Doctor.
Maybe the Doctor knows pi to be something different than we do.
Maybe.
I do love how easily he is able to distract the boss
Yeah,
because it's an AI. Like I love how easily he's able to give it something else to think about, kind of throw off its objective.
yeah. But even if the Doctor can resist the brainwashing, Yates can't, which was a bit fascinating to get Yates brainwashed there.
Mm. It was nice to have Yates back because he's been
Yeah.
gone for quite a while, but it gave him more to do. It gave him more to do, so I was definitely fine with that. But yeah, I guess Yates has moved up and beyond from unit and now works for the ministry.
Well, he was doing the ministry undercover from the brigadier. So
Oh, okay, it was
yeah.
undercover. Okay, so he is still working with the brigadier. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
I will say that on TARDIS Wiki, it kind of spoils that Yates goes through like a whole character arc after this. Because
Oh,
at the top of the page on the Green Death, they're like, yeah, and then what Yates experienced here made him, like, affected him in the long term. And then it'll affect the next story he's in.
oh, okay, that's curious.
Yeah. So he kind of goes on to character arc after this.
I
Which
mean,
will
good.
be a
He's
bit
been gone for a
fascinating.
while, so it'll be nice to actually like get something new with him then.
Yeah. Also,
Speaking of, oh, yeah, go ahead.
I just loved the Doctor doing drag again.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
I was gonna say that speaking of Yates, how did we feel about all the Doctor's disguises, including the one around Yates?
I just found it so funny when he was disguised as the cleaning lady. And then the milkman as
That was
well.
he looked like he had fun. He looked like he had fun with that.
Yeah. And I loved how he was like, one word Yates and just don't say anything.
It's so funny. And then oh, I like your handbag, and just throws the bucket at him.
Yep.
Oh man, no, I think John Pertwee had a lot of fun with these. I would love
Yeah.
to hear like any behind the scenes he felt about any of the costumes he took on and the extra roles he took on, because he did it quite a bit in this story to the point where it seems like he was doing it just for the sake of having fun.
Yeah. I know he was mostly upset at this story just because Katie Manning was leaving.
Yeah, that's fair, understandable. I will say that cleaning lady though didn't really make sense contextually in the area. She looked like a housekeeper, but like she should not be in a facility like that.
Yeah. Not even wearing a uniform or anything.
No, no, exactly. Also, what happened to I can't remember his name now, but there was one employee there that was like willing to work with the Doctor. And then we know the door gets locked and when he confronts Stevens, but like he's never seen again after that.
Yeah, there's a behind the scenes story where he had to be rushed to the hospital before they were filming episode 5. So they just
Oh,
hastily
jeez.
removed him from the story. So
Wow. Okay.
in the last 2 episodes, there was a character named James, and he was basically just replacing Elgin's role, essentially.
Oh, okay.
That's why there was just like another guy that was brainwashed now, because he was
Yeah.
supposed to be
Okay.
him. Yeah, he had
That makes sense.
a medical emergency essentially, so they just had to write him out of
Well,
it.
I hope he ended up being okay.
And I know he lasted, like he was alive for like decades afterwards, so
Okay.
that didn't
Okay,
kill him.
That's good. That's good.
I don't know if he's still
That's
alive
good.
now, but it's been 50
Mhm.
years, so
Yeah. It was just one of those like looking at it. It's like, wait, you would think that was gonna help set up something for the takedown of global chemicals, but no, it didn't.
yeah. He was supposed to be the guy that Yates like got free from the brainwashing.
Okay. That all makes sense then.
Yeah.
That all makes sense.
But then he would have died,
So-
so the character survived because he was written out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He did survive. Maybe he'll come back.
I know there
Who
was
knows?
like in the 90s there was a sequel to this story made by like the
Mhm.
people that like licensed some Doctor Who stuff.
There is also a Torchwood audio story from within the last, I want to say, 7 or 8 years. That
Yeah.
is a sequel to this as well with Joe and Captain Jack Harkness.
Yeah.
Well, there's one character we haven't really talked on too much. We loosely talked on him, but that would be Cliff Jones.
Yeah.
He does a lot in this story. He also gets incapacitated for pretty much the end of the story.
Yeah.
But he's very, very important to Joe. And I think it's important we talk about him because he's yet another character that Joe has some level of romance with. Except, unlike all the other ones where they confess feelings to her and she's like, no, sorry, she's clearly liking him from the get go as well. Even though they're bickering like an old married couple right off the bat.
Yeah. I know they said that they kind of intentionally wrote him as being like the Doctor, essentially. And then like
Right.
their first
I
meeting
mean,
is
she
also
even mentions that.
yeah, their first meeting is also very similar to how her first meeting with the Doctor went, where
Right.
she screws up his experiment. I,
Which,
I
yeah, good throwback, and it's clearly intentional.
I was just like, it's kind of a weird basis for a romance for her to be like his biggest fan, and then she goes and meets him, and then over a couple of days she decides to marry him. It's a little
Yeah, the wedding was very quick.
yeah. Like I think the story could have worked without a romantic element to it. Like some parts of the
Mm-hmm.
romance were all right. Like I loved how the Doctor is just like noticing that they're starting to like each other, and he's like, "Oh, Professor Jones, I
Yeah.
want to go talk to you about something else." And
Yeah. I really liked watching how its development affected other characters,
yeah,
but I feel like the romance itself wasn't needed for her to leave because I feel like they already made it clear how passionate she was about making a change, and his journey to do so on Earth inspired her.
yeah,
I feel like they could have just run with she wanted to do this alongside him. He reminds her of the Doctor, but making a difference here on Earth, and that alone is enough for her. And
yeah,
then maybe you could have had a story later on where the Doctor learns, oh, they ended up getting married.
yeah,
But the idea of jumping to getting married felt like it was to completely get rid of the idea of or any the idea of any doubts, so to say. Um,
yeah,
that like yeah, she's definitively leaving to be with Cliff, whether it's for marriage or for the journey is up to you, but she definitively is. There's no question about it. And I don't know. I think just the passion alone could have worked. Even like some level of romance would have been fine, but I don't think they need to jump to getting married after 3 days.
yeah. I know apparently Katie Manning was actually dating the actor when he was cast. So
Right. Okay.
so they did have a real romance.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just felt like
Which is
it would
yeah.
have made enough sense to just say that like Joe decided she wants to stay on Earth because she cares
Mm-hmm.
about like what's going on Earth, and like that would have been
Right.
fine, especially because like she didn't sign up to join the TARDIS. She signed up to be part of UNIT with the Doctor, and
Yep.
then after like a couple stories where she's been in the TARDIS, she can just be like, yeah, I don't really want to keep doing that.
She may have been good at it, but yeah, I mean, they even kept mentioning they were trying to get her home for a bit.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, like some parts of the romance were well done though, but then yeah, just like the
I agree.
marriage proposal right at the end just felt like it just came out of nowhere.
Felt like he was rushing things, and I feel like she should have said, no, 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 not yet, let's take it slow or something.
Yeah,
But the way she immediately jumped on it, and everyone celebrating, and it did make for a good scene for a goodbye between Joe and the Doctor as the Doctor kind of leaves while all of it's going on,
yeah,
creating like a sense of conflict between the happy moment and the sad goodbye. I do think it worked for that purpose, but that's kind of the only way it worked.
yeah. I did also like when Yates comes into the room and is told they're getting married, and very briefly his face just falls, but then he smiles and is like, "Congratulations!" It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
he still had feelings for her.
Because yeah, they went on at least one date together, or they were
Yeah,
intending to go on at least one date together.
yep.
Good little bit of subtext there, some little like background details.
And then, from what I hear in Sarah Jane Adventures, Joe is upset at the Doctor because he's traveling with a married couple now, and she's like, "Oh, well, I would have traveled with you with my husband if I was allowed."
Yeah, yeah. In the episode with Sarah Jane, she meets Matt Smith's doctor, and he talks a bit about Amy and Rory and how they're not with him at the moment because they're honeymooning or something like that.
Yeah,
And she's like, "Oh, you have a married couple in the TARDIS. I only left you because I got married."
I
And
mean,
it was a good moment for her in that as well. And now that I
yeah.
have the context behind like her whole character here, it's even better. But
I feel like the third Doctor probably wouldn't have wanted a married couple in the TARDIS with him, though.
probably not.
I mean, even the
The
11th.
Doctor 11 and 3 are very different.
Yeah, even 11 only invited Rory because he wanted Amy to stop flirting with him.
That's true. That's true.
I also found it just so, like, morbid how many characters died in this story. Especially because, like, Bert dies off screen. And, like, he's with Joe for, like, an
Yeah.
entire episode, and then he just dies. It's, like,
And you
morbid.
see how upset she is about it.
Yeah. At least Cliff is there to help her process her grief and everything.
Maybe, although we know her life with Cliff, she moves around so quickly, just like life in the TARDIS. So
Yeah.
constantly on to the next thing. But I think overall, it was honestly like a solid end story. It wasn't like incredible, but it was good fun, and I definitely enjoyed what it had to offer.
Yeah. I'm not crazy about it, but it was a good time.
I think it was a good story for Joe and the Doctor, like their characters and like their end, or
Yeah.
her end with him, like the end of an era, but not quite like a big incredible story as a whole.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I did also find the scene funny where
The
Benton
Brigadier
says,
was pretty funny throughout the story as well.
I think Benton has a good funny scene where it's like he's talking to the Megan saying, "Kitty, kitty, kitty, come get your din din," and the Doctor's
Yeah,
just like,
yeah,
"No,
yeah.
no, don't say that."
He's having fun throwing the fungus from the maggots, and the Doctor's like, Sergeant Benton. He's like,
Yeah.
stop that. That was a great moment.
I loved also the moment when he breaks Yates' brainwashing, and then the Brigadier is also frozen.
Yeah, the Brigadier honestly has some pretty funny moments in this whole story, but I kind of love that's a running thing with the Third Doctor. Whenever he does some level of hypnosis, someone else unintentionally gets affected by it.
Yeah. Also, in the story, Benton he calls like other people working for Unit by Dix and Letts, and that's a reference to Terrence Dix, who's the script editor, and Barry Letts, who is the producer. And apparently
Oh,
that was
that's
just
fun.
he just improv'd that on the scene.
That's honestly, that's pretty fun. That's pretty good.
And I will also note that this is the first story set in Wales, which is obviously a lot more common in Modern Who.
Yeah, it's the start of many.
Yeah. It's not the first one that was filmed there, though, because Abominable Snowmen was filmed in Wales, but it's the first one that's set in Wales. And then, like, all
Yeah.
of Torchwood is set there.
Yep.
And next time,
So
we do also have a new
Yeah.
logo and new title sequence next time.
yes,
And that
that's
new
right.
logo
It's
is
the
the
start of some
diamond one.
changes.
We're on the
It
diamond
begins.
logo. Yeah.
I have one last real big thought about the Green Death, and I'm curious how you feel about it. They made a really big point about the way the Green Death kills. It's not that it like attacks and kills all their cells; it's that it changes like every cell in their body, and that's why they turn green and die. And I thought we were going to learn, like the way it was presented. I thought we were going to learn that none of these people actually died. They were transformed, or they like the maggots were changing their entire structure into something else. I thought we were going to learn like they were turning into bugs or something, because that's playing off an idea we already had in an earlier story. But now here on Earth, well, no, it just killed.
Yeah. It was a little weird to have that explanation that, like, it's turning them into maggot cells, and then that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. You could have just said it's just poisoning them. It's just attacking every cell in their body. But the
Yeah.
way they said it's turning it into maggot cells, I really thought we were going to learn, like, oh, somewhere out there, one of the green men is now running around as a giant bug.
Yeah.
but no.
You do get a giant
A little
bug,
bit
but
of a messy story,
it's just
but
very briefly.
true. Only one. Only
Yeah.
one did that, thankfully. If it was more, it would have been a bigger problem.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't have a lot more on the story myself.
That's fair. Were there any other notable or interesting behind the scene details that you learned, or?
Uh, not that I can, not that I had written down here. No.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I think overall it was a bit conflicting. There was
Yeah.
definitely like some problems with the story, but it was fun at least.
Yeah.
But now that brings us to, let's talk about thoughts on season 10 first. So this whole season first, before we talk about Joe, because Joe spanned multiple seasons.
Yeah.
So I gotta say, I think season 10 was fairly good. I mean, starting off with the three doctors was strong, and I think these episodes as a whole are good and entertaining. I think I might prefer season 9 as a whole, but this was pretty close. This was good.
Yeah. I wasn't really crazy about too many of the stories this season, but they were
Mm-hmm.
like they were okay to good. And then Carnival of
Mm-hmm.
Monsters is definitely my favorite.
Yeah, I really liked the three doctors and Carnival of Monsters.
Yeah.
Frontier in Space was fun. It was fine. The Planet of the Daleks was not as good.
Yeah.
And I do think Green Death was a better note to end on. But
Yeah. I think it had ups and downs, but
mm-hmm.
yeah, Carnival of Monsters on its own makes it a good season, I would say. 'Cause I really like that one.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think this also really benefited from uh the Doctor and Joe's relationship was like at its like highest. Like they've been working together so long at this point. They really knew each other well and can work well together.
Yeah.
Um like practically like unspoken. Like they were able to work off of each other and get things done, and there was no like need for banter before getting things done. Like Joe is a
Yeah.
great companion in what she was able to do this season without the Doctor.
Yeah, that's true. I think they work really well together, and then
Mm-hmm.
when they're separate, they also work very well, like on their own as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
And it was just great to start the season with, seeing the other doctors again.
Yeah, yeah, it was nice. It was nice watching Patrick Troughton immediately slip right back into the role.
Yeah, like he hasn't even left, but it's been like 4 years for him.
I'm sure that'll continue to be the case in his other future appearances.
Yep, we will see him 2 more times. Yeah, season 10. I think it was fine. I didn't love it that much, but it was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's I think that's fair. I think out of all of Joe's seasons, I think I liked season 9 the best.
Yeah,
I think season 9 just had a lot of really good stories, and I think it had a lot of really good moments between her and the Doctor as they were. It was not her first season, so it was her second season when she was like reaching like a prime understanding between her and the Doctor, seeing that development, like in like Curse of Peladon, for example.
yeah. And I think it kind of helps that
Yeah,
she has like kind of a character arc with the Doctor, where slowly they become like more accustomed to each other.
yeah,
In that first
and it
season,
works well.
he's a bit too mean to her, but then they get together, like they get along a bit better as time goes on.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad after that first season they dropped how mean he was to her, and the only thing they had in its place was the two of them teasing each other and
Yeah,
laughing about it, which we did have at the start of Green Death. The two of
yeah,
them making jokes of, "Oh, you've never listened to a word I'm saying," and then they immediately start laughing.
yep. Because they were having a
Like
whole
I think
conversation.
that
They had a whole
yeah,
conversation with
like
each other where they were all saying two different things.
it summarized their relationship very well. I think
Yeah,
the fact that they had that argument and immediately started laughing through it.
yeah,
because it made her really grow into her own person, and that really showed from Green Death, especially how much she grew into her own person compared to where she was at the start. She really stopped just being his assistant in season 9, but she really became her own person in season 10, I think.
Yeah.
Season 8, she was the Doctor's assistant. Season 9, she was the Doctor's friend. But season 10, she was her own person traveling with the Doctor. She had a lot of individuality in that season, a lot of independence in season 10. And I think that's why when she leaves at the end, it's, the Doctor's, the fledgling flew the coop, so to say, and it's her time to go do her thing.
Yeah.
And he understands. It's a very linear progression.
Yeah, it is. She was just
she's iconic.
Like probably
honestly.
I guess she like
she
at this
really
point
is.
she was like the longest running female companion at this point as well.
Yep.
Maybe even the longest in total, because I guess Jamie would be the next, but technically he was there 2.5 seasons, not 3. Although I guess number of stories would be
true.
different.
Yeah, you'd have to count number of stories, and I wouldn't count the years because I feel like if there's not much Doctor Who in a year, does it really count? Like I think it should be a matter of by how many stories that aired in that time.
And Jamie's seasons were twice as long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's hard to say in that case, but without getting to the nitty gritty of it, but she's definitely so far one of the longest running companions, and I mean, nowadays she's one of the most iconic ones. And I see why, honestly. Her run was really good. And I feel like I say this with, like, at least one group of companions each time so far. But so much of what we see in modern companions, the kind of developments that they get, the stories that they get, the way they grow with the Doctor, you see that here with Jo. And especially in this linear progression through 3 seasons, I think it is the closest to the modern format we've had yet.
Yeah. Technically, most of the modern companion stories are just like they meet someone they fall in love with at the end.
Yep.
Sometimes it's even just off screen, like Martha and Mickey got married, and that was just not even on screen.
That's true.
I did also find it funny in The Green Death when Professor Jones is calling Jo a kid the whole time, and then you look up the actors' ages, and Jo is actually older than him by 2 years.
Oh, that's funny.
Like,
that's funny.
It's a little weird.
So it's actually just a little sexist.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay, I suppose. It was the times, and I mean, the actors were together, so I guess, whatever worked for them. If they were happy, that's ultimately it.
And I guess the character was supposed to be older because like he's a Nobel Peace Prize winner and everything, so he's probably not supposed to be like 25, which is what I think he was.
He's probably supposed to be at least 30. Yeah.
But yeah, I think Jo was a great character.
Yeah. She really was, and I really appreciated what she brought to all of this. I think the way she affected the growth of the Third Doctor as well is much more than Liz, his previous companion, assistant, more so, because she didn't really help him grow much, but Jo really did help him grow.
Yeah. Liz wasn't really there long enough to really have much of an effect.
No.
Especially because in that first season, they weren't really concerned with like fleshing her out as a character all that much.
Right. Unfortunately.
Yeah. And obviously Katie Manning is still like heavily involved with Doctor Who because she's done so much Big Finish.
Both on screen and off screen, like both in the role and her as like a person.
Yeah.
So heavily involved in Doctor Who still.
She even has a second character in Big Finish who's Iris Wildtime. I don't know much about her, but Katie Manning plays her in Big Finish stories as well. She does multiple.
Yeah, so she takes on different roles. She does different things. She reappeared in Sarah Jane Adventures, which again, the Sarah Jane series is much more of a love letter to classic Who than modern Who was at the time.
Yeah.
And she also reappeared in Power of the Doctor, in the doctor the AA meeting for past
Yep.
companions.
And then Tales of a TARDIS, they established that her husband recently passed away as well, which is
Yeah,
because,
which I believe that's because the actor
yeah,
passed, right?
he passed away, I
Yeah.
think, in like 2022 or something. So it's
Yeah,
very recent.
so very recent at the time.
I guess next time, though, we will be meeting Sarah Jane. So she's another iconic
Yes.
character.
Arguably, probably the most iconic companion.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be a good time because I know most people associate Sarah Jane with the Fourth Doctor. I mean, that's who she was with for the longer amount of time. That's kind of the more iconic group, so to
Yeah.
say, the iconic pairing. But I'm excited to see how she starts off with the Third Doctor, how that relationship begins with them before it becomes what everyone knows it to be to the Fourth Doctor.
Yeah.
Especially since at this point, the Third Doctor is used to his companions starting off as his assistants through unit, but we know Sarah Jane did not. Sarah Jane is a journalist,
Yeah.
so I'm very curious to see how that begins because it's just going to be a different dynamic from the get go. She's very likely not going to be someone who just takes his orders right away.
Yeah, probably. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how her story plays out.
Me too. I think it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be good fun, and I mean, it'll set up for eventually, if we ever, like when we finish Classic Who, if we ever go into any of the side things, we'll see Sarah Jane and Joe Grant unite in one episode or one story of Sarah Jane Adventures.
Yeah. And technically, there was going to be a Sarah Jane spin-off in the 70s as well, where there's one
Yep,
episode of that we can watch when it eventually shows up.
that'll be fun.
That episode was produced.
Very curious about that.
It was like right between the Fourth Doctor, the end of the Fourth Doctor era, and the beginning of the Fifth Doctor era. So when we get there, we
Okay.
can just watch that one episode as well, if we want to.
Yeah, yeah. If we have access to it, yeah, I'd say so. I think that'd be fun to do.
And that's like something I didn't realize was that Sarah Jane never actually meets K9 in Classic Who. The reason why she has K9 is because of that spin-off, which is funny. Because K9 comes into the
Wow, so
picture
that's
after Sarah Jane leaves already.
yeah. But that's really funny because Sarah Jane having K9 in Modern Who is implied to be something that's part of the classics.
Yeah. The reason for
So
that is because of
that one spin-off is canon.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's even like the same Mark 3 K9 in that. So it's
Crazy.
yeah, it's definitely from that.
The last thing I want to say about Joe and also kind of Sarah Jane before we head into her too is the one other big interaction that we really kept getting was with the Brigadier. And we know how iconic the Brigadier is, and we know how the Brigadier is with the companions. But I find it very, very fascinating that Joe was an employee of UNIT, technically. And the Brigadier never really stopped her at all. He, despite being like her, superior in all this, he was actually very understanding to everything that she did and tried to do. And
Yeah.
the role that she played, both as the Doctor's companion and what she wanted to do in the world. And the fact that he was very supportive of it, I think also says a lot for his character, which
Yeah.
I don't think at this point would have gotten that much attention. We know the Brigadier is iconic, but like the role he played here in, I mean, getting Joe to where she was can't be overlooked either.
Yeah. Especially in the Green Death in particular, because like he's saying he's very upset with her when she says she doesn't want to help him out, and then he just gets over it, I guess, on their drive
Yep.
down there.
Yep. It's. I think it's good character building for him because I think it shows he understands how much life for the Doctor changes someone.
Yeah.
He's starting to understand that. And we'll see how that continues as he meets more companions.
Yeah. technically we don't see him
Right.
all that much more after the Third Doctor era, but he's in a little bit more.
He's in at least a bit of the Fourth Doctor,
Yeah,
I think.
there's a
But
couple of Fourth Doctor stories, and then he disappears for a while, and then you see him a couple more times later on.
well, we'll definitely have a lot to say on him eventually.
Yeah,
Eventually, we'll reflect on all of his stuff too.
yeah. I think that's all we had to say about these stories.
Yeah, I think so. But of course, if you support us on Patreon for just $1 a month, you will get access to our Discord server as well as these episodes live. Not live. You'll get access to these episodes early. And if you support us at the $5 tier, you'll get to watch us live. And that's where you can hop in a little side chat and tell us actually the Green Death is the best episode of the Third Doctor era, and
Yep.
give off reasons why. Uh, Otherwise, at the $1 tier, you can also just discuss the episodes as you watch them, as we're watching them, and it's good fun. It's good fun. But speaking of episodes as we watch them, Joy, would you like to go into what we got to watch next time and how to prepare for that?
Yep. So next time we're starting season 11 with both The Time Warrior and Invasion of the Dinosaurs. Time Warrior is a 4-parter, and I will say I noticed on Tubi TV that it's a Centauran in the thumbnail. So
Yeah,
I
it's
guess
a Sontaran story.
I guess it's a Centauran is the Time Warrior, and then Invasion of the Dinosaurs is a 6-parter, and obviously it's about dinosaurs. And we'll have to see how well they pulled them off in 1974.
I wonder if it'll be better than 2012's Dinosaurs on a Spaceship.
Yeah, probably won't look as good, but maybe it's a more interesting story.
I hope it's a more interesting story.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, as a reminder, make sure to watch The Time Warrior and Invasion of the Dinosaurs before our next episode. You can find those on the BBC iPlayer or over on Tubi TV. And if you support us on Patreon for just $1 a month, you'll gain access to our Discord and early access to these episodes. I've been Tris. You can find me on social media at ToonTris.
And I've been Joy. You can find me at Joy Content.
And we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.